Imagine you've submitted all of your documents for your Schengen visa application, paid your fees, waited for weeks, only to find out that your visa application was rejected. Frustrating, right? Well, this happens to a lot of people every year simply because the embassy officer is just not convinced that they're not going to try and illegally migrate to another country. This is where strong ties and financial stability in your home country is important. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prove that you have strong ties and financial stability so that your visa application looks rock solid. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maisha. If you're new here, you can call me Mimi. And I've done a couple of videos explaining the process of applying for a Schengen visa as well as the common mistakes to avoid. Feel free to check those videos out and come right back. And before we get into it, if you want templates that you can use to support your proof of income and financial stability, I've created a premium Schengen visa guide, the link to which I'll leave in the description of this video. What does it even mean to prove strong ties? Embassies are not just interested in your vacation plans. They need to know what is preventing you from staying in Europe until thy kingdom come. They need to know that you will, at the end of your vacation, return from whence you came. Strong ties can be financial, social, and even educational. I'll share with you a few examples. Job and employment stability, family responsibilities, property ownership or rental, and business or educational commitments. Proving at least one or two or a combination of these can improve your chances of approval. So let's break these down. One of the best ways to show strong ties is through stable employment. So if you have a job, you're employed, you need to submit a job letter confirming your position, your salary, how long you've worked there, and your leave approval. Recent payslips. Typically, the last 3 months' payslips is sufficient, and your employer's contact information. Usually, the visa application form would ask you for those details. If you are self-employed, you need to prove that your business is legitimate. So whether that is a business registration certificate or business bank account statements or tax returns. Now, in spite of me saying or, it would be best if you can provide all of those things. The more information you provide, making the embassy officer's job easier and making your situation very clear to the embassy officer, the better. If you want to be a little bit more sure about what the information in your job letter should entail, my premium guide actually includes a job letter template that you can use as reference. Another way to prove that you will return to your country at the end of your vacation is if you have family depending on you. So if you have children, perhaps a spouse, perhaps a parent who is elderly and you have to support that parent. In which case you could submit your children's birth certificate, your marriage certificate, and any document that you may have to prove that you are a primary caregiver of your elderly parent or any other family member. Now, if you own property, that's another way you can prove strong ties, and that's a big green flag for embassies. So include your property title, include any rental contract you may have if you are renting out your apartment or your property. You could also include mortgage statements in relation to that or those properties. And perhaps if you don't own property, but you are renting an apartment, you could share your rental agreement as well. Now let's talk about money, because if you're planning a trip to Europe, you're gonna need some money, right? And how expensive or affordable your trip is really dependent on you and what your plans are and what your preference is. What the embassy cares about is that you are able to cover your trip, however expensive or however affordable it is, for however long you're staying without struggling. So to prove that you can afford to pay for your trip on your own, you can provide your bank statements 3 to 6 months. Each embassy may dictate to you the period for which they would like your bank statements. For example, I recently applied to the Belgian embassy and they told me for exactly what dates they wanted the bank statements. But 3 to 6 months is a good way to start. Point to note, everything that you're submitting to the embassy must align. So if you told the embassy that you are renting an apartment, for example, your bank statement should show where money is leaving your account to pay for rent, right? It would also be good for your bank statement to show income coming in. So if you are employed, then your bank statement should reflect that. So just ensure that whatever you're presenting is cohesive and everything aligns and leads to the overall picture, the overall story that you're telling. In addition to bank statements, if you have any investment stocks, bonds, or whatever you invest in, you can also include those investment statements in your application to show that you have extra money put down somewhere in the event that you need it for your trip. In some cases, you may have a person who is sponsoring your trip or someone who's sponsoring a part of your trip. You may have a friend or a family member in the Schengen country who is, for example, providing accommodation on your behalf. A sponsorship letter from that individual should also be included in your application. When it comes to submitting bank and investment statements, a huge mistake that people make, which I would have mentioned in a previous video, is transferring a large sum of money in their account right before the application. And as you can imagine, that can look suspicious. So try to avoid that. And if you must, provide some explanation to the embassy as to why those monies were transferred when they were transferred. Just ensure that any movement of monies, any transaction that's in your bank statement that you're presenting is explainable. You want to show a steady flow of income as well as transactions that look natural, that look practical, and a bank balance that is sufficient to cover the cost of your trip. You can work with maybe ensuring you have 80 to 100 US dollars per day in your account available for your trip. And again, how much that is at the end of the day is completely dependent on your trip and the details of your trip. Finally, a well-written cover letter can tie everything together and explain to the embassy officer exactly why they should believe that you will return home at the end of your trip. In this cover letter, we're going to include the reason why you're traveling, a brief summary of your itinerary, where you're going, how long you're staying there, your financial situation. You're employed at X place, you've been there for X number of years, and along with your application, you have included X bank statement, XYZ, and you list the documents that you've included in your application in the cover letter as well. And of course, you're also going to mention your proof of strong ties. So you can indicate that, I have vacation days approved by my employer from X date to X date, and I'll return home on X date to resume my responsibilities at X company, or to resume my responsibilities in taking care of X parent, etc. So no one cover letter is going to be the same because everyone's situation is different. So you're going to include the details that relate to you and your situation. And this is your opportunity to make a good first impression to the embassy officer. This is your opportunity to convince them that you're not trying to run off. You'll find that the visa application forms tend to be a bit standard. So there are specific things that are requested on the application form, which may not account for the details of your unique situation. So use a cover letter as an opportunity to share any additional details that is not covered in the application form. And of course, if you're not sure how to write one, and if you need some help in crafting the letter, my premium guide has a sample cover letter template available for you to use. You can simply edit it easily with your details and you're good to go. All right, so let's recap. To prove strong ties and financial stability, we need to show proof of employment or registered business. So that would be your job letter or your business registration certificate and the other things we discussed earlier. Provide family or property ties. So your marriage certificate, your kid's birth certificate, or your property title. Submit bank statements and proof of income, and write a clear cover letter that tells your story the way you want it to be perceived. Of course, not all of these items will apply to you. Just submit the ones that do. And if all apply, then submit everything or as much as you can. It is better to go for the overkill and submit more than you think you might need, because the more you can prove that you have strong ties and financial stability is the better your chances are of getting your visa application approved. I really do hope this information was helpful. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comment. I will respond to everyone. By the way, if you want a free checklist of all the documents that are required for your Schengen visa application, I also have a free Schengen visa application guide that you can download, and I'll leave the link to that in the description. And for ready to use templates, letters, and insider strategies, my premium guide has everything you need. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And until the next one, take care.